Good evening, my name is Debbie. I'm a Live for Love TV subscriber on YouTube. It's a very informative channel, so when you have a spare moment, please like, share and subscribe. Live for Love TV. Thank you.
Welcome back to Live for Love TV. Today's the 5th day of the 8th month of the 24th year inside the 21st century. Hope everyone's doing extremely well out there. Now, there's so much going on in the UK right now that you really don't know where to start. But for those of you who are watching the news, who've got your ear to the ground, you'll know that they're having these little mini riots, I have to call them, disturbances and all the rest in the UK right now. And they're claiming, and the Prime Minister himself is saying, they're organised by far-right groups, which is probably true, but I'm not 100% sure, but it's probably true. Now, what's very interesting is the areas that these things are happening. It's happening all over the country, but it seems to be staying very clear of London. Now, London is where the most population of people are in the UK. So, strange that this is happening all over the country, from north to south, but somehow London is not involved. Well, I mean, I say it's funny because I know the reason. And if you've been around as long as me and you know that part of the world, you know the reason. We've seen all this before. We saw this in the 70s. In fact, people older than me saw it in the 50s when they had the Notting Hill riots after a racial murder in Notting Hill. I think it was 1957. These things were happening. People were being attacked by the colour of their skin. It wasn't religion then, like it's encompassed now with some Muslim background, but it's normally immigrants, or it was immigrants then, and then children of immigrants, which came up into my time in the 70s. So we face these things all over, especially in London where I was, but in every capital city, whether it's Manchester, Birmingham, Liverpool, I don't know, all of it, you name it, where even Bristol, wherever, this was going on. There were times when you took your life in your hands at night time when you went through places like the Angel in London. You couldn't go as far as Edmonton, from what I can remember. Harrow was dangerous. Kingsbury was dangerous. Where else? I mean, believe it or not, even in the middle of where we were living, certain parts of the Church Road in Willesden and Harlesden was dangerous. It was all over the country it was happening. Old Kent Road, Lewisham, all these areas now have changed. And they've changed because of the pushback. Because you can only frighten some people so much, and you can only push a man back to the wall so far, push him to the wall so far. Eventually he's going to come out, and if he's got anything about him, he's going to put you to the sword and see exactly what you're about. Because these were cowards that were trying to destroy us and kill us, and were killing some of us. These were cowards that outnumbered us. They had the judiciary behind them, they had the police force behind them, and they outnumbered us, you know, hundreds of thousands to one. But we pushed back against them, and eventually they found London a little bit too hot for their liking, and they decided to go a little bit further out. So they went on to they didn't want to bring their children up, because really the truth was that they were afraid that their children couldn't survive alongside our children, which I was one of those children. They couldn't survive alongside us, so they started running away. So that's why you see, if those of you don't know why it's happening in those parts of the country right now, it'd be very dangerous for them to take it up in Tottenham, take that sort of behaviour up in Tottenham. I would like to see them do it there, or in anywhere in South London. You know, I'd like to see them do it there. It hasn't even started there, and to my liking, I don't think it ever will start there, because one, the people who live in those areas, most of the white people who live in those areas, have grown up with us. They know us. They not have the same attitude as some of these other people in some of these other areas. Plus, they know what we can do, and which we show on a daily basis. Sorry to say, even amongst our own. So, a terrible situation going on over there. But mark my words, these are cowards. These are cowards. And just like what happened to them in the 70s, the same thing's going to happen to them up there. Whether it's Muslims, whether it's just people of ethnic minority, other people, black people like myself, whoever it is, they're going to get the pushback that they're asking for. If they continue, they'll get it. And they won't be ready for it. They never are ready for it. They say they are, but they can only fight when they've got you outnumbered. You know, they say this was preceded by an attack on attack in Southport, where 3 young girls were taken out, let's say, for the algorithms, not say the word, were taken out. And it was a terrible, terrible event. But it wasn't many days before that we saw a Muslim on the floor getting his head kicked in by the police and bashed, and that was before that. Yeah? So some people could say, well, yes, something may, you know, been the catalyst that started it off now. But when you can see the police putting the boot in against certain people, and you see it live and you see it viral, it gives these other cowards the courage to go out and think they can put the boot in. The problem is, what they don't understand, this is 2024. If the people I'm talking about weren't frightened of the police in the 70s and the 80s, what do you think is going to happen to people being frightened of the police in 2024? Ain't no one frightened of the police. Ain't no one frightened. That people talk, I mean, I'm not a Muslim. They talk about jihad. I hear this word all the time. I think it means holy war. Every war is holy once you believe you're in the right, you're in the right. So if they're taking this to people like myself and children that come from people like myself, they'll see the same holy war that they'll get in any religion. Same holy war, and it will go the same way. Because you have to remember, when you know you haven't got anyone on your side, that means you don't have the judiciary on your side, you don't have the police on your side or the army on your side, then there's nothing to lose. You just go all out. That's how we grew up in the 70s, that's how we saw it. We couldn't turn around and say, oh, go to a police station and say, oh, 10 white guys just gave me a kicking. They'd laugh at you. And you'd be lucky to get out of there without another kicking. So we knew what it was, and it's what it is again. And I'm sorry to say to the young people that you have to see what we went through. But all we did was push it back. We didn't eradicate it. We couldn't eradicate it. We didn't have the ability or the means to eradicate that sort of behavior. But we just pushed it back from where you live, most of you in London, or maybe in Handsworth or Bristol now, or certain other areas where a lot of ethnic minorities are. We were able to push it back so you've grown up without that sort of fear that we grew up with. But we couldn't stop it, we couldn't eradicate it. And what's interesting is, whenever the Muslim so-called extremists, the Muslim terrorists are doing things, all we ever hear about is that we're going after the people who are facilitating, who are pushing them, who are, inciting them. But who's inciting these people now? I listened to things on GB News, I listened to even people who are in the Conservative Party just the other day, inciting this type of behavior. Ain't no one going to go after them, and we know this. And if you're a Muslim, you'll know this as well. No one's going after these people. So you have to make your own law, people talk about, is it Sharia law? You have to have your own law. Maybe Africans, blacks, Caribbeans don't have a name for their law, but we have our own law. And we will take our own action in law just as anybody else would when they're under threat. You can't go by the law of the people who are causing all the damage to you, because that law won't work. So I see what's happening, and I see the Prime Minister's come out and talked about far-right thugs. The police are putting up a defence against them, and the police should do, because the police know. They don't want it to go. They don't want this to go any further. They certainly don't want it to go down the road I've been seeing. I saw a bus. Somebody sent me some black people trapped on a bus, including some females, when these guys were trying to drag people off the bus, or trying to. I don't know if they were trying to attack any one person or all the people on the bus. I have no idea. But I know that type of terror, and I know how people who are not used to street life feel when they see that kind of terror, or they're frightened. But I'm sure you know, if you've done any historical thing, that there are protectors. There are always protectors. You may not know who they are, but they're there. Just as they want to protect their sons and daughters, we protect our sons and daughters. And as Brother Malcolm would say, by any means necessary. Well, that's what he said. But I'd like to say, instead of by any means necessary, by every needs necessary. Take care. Live for Love TV.
Like, share, subscribe to Live for Love TV.